This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.
Record.
Hi, everybody. We're calling our meeting to order, the Historical Commission, on today, September 14th, 2022 at 6:35 p.m. Okay, first, call to order. We did public speak. Do we have any written correspondence that we know about? I know Mike's not here to share. Approval of the 7:13 minutes, which I don't have a copy of, so we'll postpone that? Is that okay, everyone?
Yeah.
All right, demo delay bylaw, revising the current demo delay ordinance requirements.
So the last meeting, we went through and finalized those changes. I sent them to Mass Historic for review and comment. I got some comments back, but I haven't had a chance yet to fully digest them.
Okay.
I was working on basically taking their comments and coming up with a version that uses track changes to look at sort of what their comments were, but then also implementing in their suggestions, because they didn't rewrite it for us. There was
Gotcha.
this is confusing, or
Okay.
this is unnecessary.
Oh, okay.
Like that. So
I see.
So I hope that at the next meeting I could have something that we can look at and
Great.
go forward with.
So we'll revisit that at our next meeting.
Sounds good.
Sounds good. Excellent. Very efficient group here. Okay. Most Endangered Historic Resources Program. Link to the Preservation of Massachusetts. I think the link is on the digital copy, which I obviously don't have on my computer, and I didn't actually have the link.
I think it's closed now. Is that correct?
Or is that it?
This is it.
But is the
What do you mean, date-wise?
yeah, I think that you had to submit.
Oh
by
yeah,
the
it
end.
says nomination period for this year is closed.
Okay.
May 1st through August 31st.
Zipping right through.
Okay. Okay, so this is
Record.
closed. You said it was closed on the 31st?
Yeah.
All right. Our beloved New Haven, Northampton Canal update. If we have one.
I haven't heard anything from Pioneer Valley Planning Commission in a while. I believe that the last I had heard, they had started this sort of field. They're walking the entirety of the canal.
Wow, really?
To
So phenomenal.
from start to finish.
Okay.
Yeah, to document it.
From, you mean in the Massachusetts side?
Yeah, from border
Okay.
through Hampden County and Hampshire County.
Wonderful.
So they were walking it. Well, so the Pioneer Valley Planning Commission hired a sub-consultant, SWCA, to do that historic documentation. So they are, my understanding is they should be done with that process now.
Okay.
Basically, the reason they're doing that is to sort of get a center line of where the canal actually is for mapping purposes, and then to sort of get an understanding of what historically significant features remain and would need protection or listing or things like that. So I haven't seen any results of that yet.
Okay.
So but it's moving along.
That's pretty cool. I'm looking forward to hearing more about that. The town lodging update. I don't know if anything has changed there.
Again, so I don't know where people recall where we were at with that, but the Southern Middlesex Opportunity Council had terminated their lease, relocated all the residents, turned the building back over to the city. The city had taken some preliminary steps to protect the building, board it up, lock the doors, change the locks, make sure that it's being secured and safe. And we started working with Pioneer Valley Planning, Valley Community Development Corporation, sorry. They're looking at that property to see if it's can be rehabbed for affordable housing. Their concern is that similarly to the public schools that we're surplusing, there's a minimum number of units that you need to be able to have in order to make it economically feasible to redo it. So that magic number is somewhere around 40 units. Yeah, because it has to do with the affordable housing tax credits and the I guess the grants that affordable housing developers can get from the state. They don't want to, they're not looking to build 1 or 2 units at a time. The state has a goal of building, there were something like 300,000 units short in the state for housing. So they want bigger projects developed rather than smaller projects.
Couldn't they develop some in the building and then add some to the property?
Exactly. So that's what they're looking at now is, can an addition or outbuilding be added to that property that would respect the historical significance and integrity of that site, and that would still then comply with those requirements, and also looking at, I mean, so right now that building has about 23 units.
Like single rooms.
Single rooms, which, you know, is not ideal for anyone. You know, you had to share your bathroom and kitchen with 20 of your not so close friends and neighbors.
Well, I don't think there were separate kitchens there anyway, were there? There was,
correct.
Wasn't there? It was
you only got your
group thing.
Yeah, you got your 1 bedroom and you shared their common bathroom, common kitchen, common areas.
Living, okay.
So it's not great. You know, it's better than, I guess, nothing.
Right.
But when we're looking to redevelop it, we'd ideally like to make it not just
Bare minimum,
not just the bare minimum,
Yeah.
but that it's actually housing that's quality, decent, and affordable, and not just. So we're looking at some sort of, can you put in some sort of shower or bathroom facility in each room, or maybe between 2 rooms or something like that.
Right.
And then the addition would be a modern, affordable housing, some sort of separate units, each with their own kitchen, bathroom, living facilities. So it's.
And that's what the VCDC is looking at, Valley Development.
So they're looking into that, and we'll see if that's going to be something that has legs and can go forward.
That's a good update. Thank you. School reuse update for the elementary schools. I know that there were meetings about it for open comment, but I personally did not get to see or read about any of that. So was that last week or the week before?
Yeah, so they've been going on all summer. The city council received the draft request for proposals, sent it to the property subcommittee. The property subcommittee has been doing their own process to look at that request and trying to amend it or see if it makes sense. There was some back and forth between the housing partnership and the housing coalition and the mayor, property committee about getting that RFP released quicker. There's now a public hearing scheduled for next Wednesday.
Okay.
In city council, so it's going to be the full city council is going to be voting on the recommendations of the property committee regarding the RFP.
Okay.
Assuming that there's no changes or a small amount of changes, that then the RFP would be basically sent out to the public at that point in time.
Okay.
Or soon thereafter, once those changes come. So, I don't know where it stands now with like what changes have been proposed, but the original RFP had a priority of reuse of the existing buildings for affordable housing and rating any responses that come in to redevelop those buildings for affordable housing as the highest and best proposal. So, again, I don't know if that's changed.
Sure. You said this is next Wednesday.
Next Wednesday at the city council meeting.
Okay. Thank you. Number 9, State Ethics Commission, registration open for free conflict of interest law training. And then there's a link to the website for that. I think that's a mandatory thing for anybody in all city positions. And it's annual. Yeah, I have to do it in Northampton also every year for school employees. Yeah, so yeah, exactly. So I assume, you can correct me if you know more, that we're due to do this again. That we're just that we all need to do that. So maybe we can all try to do it in the next month.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I thought that the ethics conflict of interest stuff was at the beginning of the year.
In January, you mean?
In January.
Oh, well, maybe. I mean, I can't remember when I did it last because it's like, between both
So
cities.
just check your emails and see if you got
Town
it.
usually sends out.
Yeah, it's usually sent out by the mayor's office or the city clerk.
Okay.
And if you still need it, then that's the website to do the training.
All right. Thank you. Number 10, Massachusetts Historical Commission seeking public input for the State Historic Preservation Plan for 2023 to 2028. And I can't really speak to that. I don't know if that's something you know about or whether that's a Mike thing, so we'll postpone that. Number 11, survey and planning grant for the 2023 pre-application and project ideas. Also, Mike, you can couch that.
Yeah, so pre-application is usually due in the early fall. So I don't know, and if you don't submit the pre-application, then you don't get to do the full application.
Sure.
I don't have any thoughts on that. If there's discussion about things that we wanted to apply for, then I think it's probably this meeting that makes sense to have that discussion.
Yeah.
Because by the time the next meeting rolls around, it might be too late to actually get anything together.
Right.
We've talked in the past about things like archaeological surveys, but it seems like I'm a little fuzzy on if any of that was still an open. Some of those got kind of closed. Basically I don't know if you all recall my recollection, correct me if I'm wrong, but for one, we'd originally thought, oh hey, the the site of the early burials. And they're like, well, keep in mind, if they're burials, we can't dig them up. I'm like, oh yeah. Same thing with any native burials. Then the next thing I had thought is that by the pond, by the oxbow, that maybe there was evidence of native habitation. But I believe it was cost prohibitive was the Jamie.
That was the
do you
ground
recall?
Was that the
The ground
was that the-
penetrating
yeah.
radar. And they were like, yeah, you really need to narrow that down into more like a few square yard area rather than what I was talking about was like, you know,
Acreage.
yeah, acreage.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's a potential, I guess, but nothing's really been narrowed down. I still always feel it's kind of close to my heart that I would love for us to get some hard science on our native habitation and any of that history, but I mean, probably none of that's quick enough to get in an application with this.
No, and I have an ethical thing to bring up that a coworker of mine brought up, which is after having discussions with people from Native American tribes, that the sacredness of the ground, not wanting places to be identified so it would not be
Disturbed.
yeah, and so I never really thought about that because it's not, if one group doesn't want things to be marked or signage put up, I'm not sure how you go then about protecting land, but it's an interesting thing that I hadn't actually thought of, that it was, yeah, that's sacred ground.
Luckily, I do have access to someone who would be, by all accounts, an authority and able to give us some insight if we wanted to put in a specific inquiry, because and I can't speak with any authority to what the opinion of a tribe would be, but I don't know that like a fishing area or anything that's just a record of again, it might not even be habitation. We might be talking about at most evidence of like a fishing trap and that kind of thing. So, you know, there's the potential that it wouldn't conflict with any of those interests. And again, if we had anything that we were wondering about, I believe Marge Bruchak, who, if you check into, would be, I think, someone we'd all approve of as someone that could say, like, yeah, that's problematic, or no, that really isn't.
I remember that whole thing where they want to put a roundabout up near River Valley.
Yeah.
King Street.
Yeah.
Street.
So,
You know, different tribes voice different opinions
Right.
depending on the tribe.
Right.
Yeah, I can see some of it too. I don't like what they're doing over there.
And as a Native person, a member of two tribes, I feel strongly that we need to preserve what history we can because it's fast receding.
yeah.
And
All of it's going up in it's all cement now, where all that,
yeah.
I don't like it.
It's all cement.
Right where they're putting up all that, doing all that right near North Shore fishing or that seafood place and all that. Those are like wetlands.
It's King Street, right?
Yes.
On the far end of King Street.
In Northampton?
I think so.
Okay.
And then they have like, right before you get to Stop and Shop, they have like that little, where they've made a bike path where they put a light in there and then people go across.
Well, there are wetlands in back of Stop and Shop that are still there.
Okay.
If you go up
Are you
the
just talking,
trail.
you're talking about the road construction project on King
Yes,
Street in
yes,
Northampton?
yes.
Okay,
That's just me.
yeah.
The wetland, there's a lot of wetlands, but it's behind Stop and Shop.
Yeah,
and those
behind
are
there, yeah.
preserved, yeah. But I don't think there were any on King Street that I recollect. Because there was a big car
Behind it.
dealership.
You're right.
Big car dealership.
Northampton Honda used to be
Yeah.
there, yeah.
I think, so the road project on King Street between like Stop and Shop and the downtown is like, there was already, all that stuff was already there,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right? But then I think the roundabout that Beverly was talking about is
It's further up.
further north on King Street by
River Valley.
River Valley.
Valley, okay, okay,
And
okay.
that one, they're proposing to put a roundabout where it's currently not already, and there was, I guess there was evidence of native village or
Occupation.
occupation.
Mm-hmm.
And so they did an archaeological,
Survey or
more than
evaluation.
just an archaeological survey, they did an archaeological dig.
Yeah, they
Mhm.
did, yeah.
And my understanding is that when you do an archaeological dig, you actually remove the things you find. So there's what they did there is they removed,
Disturbed,
they
yeah.
disturbed and
Yeah.
removed the like, I mean I think it's like flint chippings and stone, evidence that there was fires, and fires and cooking and things like that. There were not, to my knowledge, it wasn't a burial site, so there was no remains or anything like that.
Right.
But all that's now been, because it was an archaeological dig, it's all been removed. But there might be more that was outside of the like where that rotary was going to be, and that ended up scuttling the whole project. So now they're not putting in that rotary.
I never could see a rotary there
Why would you
anyway.
need
It's
that
not
there?
that hard to get out of there.
It's for that
three-way.
street. That
Yeah, but it's not
three-way.
that, I
Yeah.
go down that way a lot. It's
Three-way.
not that hard to get out of there.
Yeah.
So I never figured that out.
So I think
Where
they're gonna-
if they did one on the corner of King and Damon Road, that
Yeah.
I could understand.
Yes.
But,
Right. So,
Well, yeah.
but going back to this
survey
this
question.
city,
Yeah.
Yeah, preservation plan.
so I think a survey is different than an archaeological dig. And so, and then maybe this goes back to John's point about we're going to do the archaeological work down by Fort Hill. That if you identify that this is an area, then
To protect it, then
to protect it, but like,
LiDAR.
but you
That's part of
can't-
my
you can't-
argument,
yeah.
is you
No,
can't
I'm-
protect it if you don't know it's there.
Yeah.
And it's not like, it's not called Fort Hill Road and that everybody goes and, I mean, Mike's talked about collecting arrowheads. I mean, it's a known area of habitation and occupation. So I don't know that there'd be like any exposure of something that nobody knew was there.
Who owns that property, did we know?
I think we determined, didn't we, after we pursued this, that it was,
Is this the field next to the Fort Hill
Yes.
Brewery?
Yeah,
it's,
well, by the corner where it, isn't it, where the DAR
it
sign is?
is, right, it's
Yeah.
right near the corner, but it turns out it's not the folks there on the corner of Clapp Street.
Okay.
It's, they said it was part of the wetlands and not, I believe they said it wasn't part of that owned property. I don't know that resolves who owns it.
Right, no, I don't, and I totally don't remember
I don't
How that
either.
played out.
But I bet I could find it again. I could look it up.
that would be cool. just
Because, yeah.
It wasn't that house across the street. was it?
It wasn't. I think that was
That
what
was
they
the
said, was that it
Warnots.
wasn't. Because I said, oh, well, we'll have to ask them if it's okay.
Well, they're all gone. Somebody else bought that property.
Not the family anymore.
I know a big portion of that field next to the brewery was recently sold to the brewery.
Not the
So-
one near the brewery.
Well, there's a river in between. There's,
Yeah.
But closer
Oh, so this
to,
is
closer to Arcadia.
This is between.
Closer to Arcadia.
Yeah.
So
Closer to
if you're
Arcadia.
going down Fort Hill Road and you pass the brewery on your
Right.
left,
Yeah.
and then you get over that old bridge,
Yeah.
and there's a field on your left that's
Right.
corn, and then
Corn.
on the right is sort of like
a ditch.
a ditch, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's not. Is it a ditch or is it?
Well-
It's not
like-
Ned's ditch, it's another ditch.
Right.
But it always
Yeah,
it always
it's got-
floods in the early spring.
Well, it's
Yeah.
water in there pretty much year round. but
Yeah.
But one of
Yeah.
the ones on the other side of Arcadia is called Ned's Ditch, and I think this one has another ditch.
And there's a name for the
name.
pond too,
Yeah.
right? Somebody's pond.
But the property where the cornfield is isn't adjacent to the brewery because there's a river in between.
Right.
Well, anyway, I can look into, why don't I see what I can dig up, because it's true, I don't recall, we did make some progress,
Yeah.
and I don't recall most of it at this point.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
because It still is of so much interest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an area we haven't really got much of our history on.
Right, and if we could protect it, that would be pretty amazing.
I think so too.
Thank you.
Well, if you want to take a little bit of
Yeah.
lead on that. And I guess I would, even if this application period is closed, or we can't get it in time for this application period, it might be worth it to, there's others. Because, I mean, these things take time.
Yeah.
They're always complicated, so trying to, there might be like preliminary work that has to happen or documentation to show the like need for it, other than just people talking. Oh yeah, but I don't know. Maybe,
Yeah.
maybe that's enough.
Right. Thank you. Number 12, I'm not really sure what this means. Items not reasonably anticipated by the commission.
Just anything that didn't get on the agenda, I think.
If you're for the public meeting law, you have to have you set your agenda 48 hours before the meeting, and you're not supposed to discuss anything that's not on the agenda. But if there was something that, like, I don't know, like, let's say the building commissioner got a demolition permit yesterday morning, it was
I
like,
see.
we need your determination of, is this significant or not?
Okay, so we wouldn't have to wait a month?
We wouldn't have to wait a month because
Gotcha.
like there was no way we would have known that that was coming in.
Right, okay, that makes sense, before it was publicly posted. Yeah.
Right.
Okay, thank you. Well, team, this is amazing. We are at scheduling our next meeting.
Oh.
I commend you all for your incredible, precise, definitive conversation here. And hopefully Mike will be feeling better for the next meeting. Let's see.
It's currently scheduled for October 12th.
That would be the second Wednesday, so, sure. October 12th,
Yep.
right here,
Yeah.
same Bat City, 12.
And I'm looking at this now, and we did not carry on the discussion about the sign program. So I need to make a note to remind Mike to add that back to the agenda.
Okay.
Sign, the historic sign program, if that's something that the commission's still interested in working on.
All right. Anything else before we adjourn?
I move we adjourn the meeting.
I second.
Heard.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, friends. We are ending this meeting at 7:03 p.m. Thank you.
This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.